Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Lore Sports proudly brings to you the best racing podcast in the world. Now, here's your host, Lauren Leach, the color guy, Mark Allen, the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast, sponsored by the Corp Racing and Valley Gasket. Thank you, Tim, Ben, and Carrie, for all that you do for us. It is greatly appreciated. Like we always say, it's truly amazing. Mark, episode 172, man, how are you doing?
Hi, buddy. How you doing? Hey, I'm back in the man cave. Now I'm down and back home, ready for some more Thursday Night Thunder tomorrow night, man.
Yeah, looking forward to another great night out at Wisconsin International Raceway with the Fox River Racing Club tomorrow night. Got Al Huss Auto and Valley Gasket night. So not only does Valley Gasket support us, they support a lot of racers and a night out at Kaukauna. So we greatly appreciate you, Ben and Carrie, and everything that you do for the sports, not just us. So it's appreciated. And Al Huss Auto too. Can't do it without the sponsors. So that is so much appreciated. Also tomorrow night, Mark Martin, NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin is going to be out there. And it's going to be a Rob Vandermoss Memorial Night, which is going to be a big night for the Wisconsin Sport Trucks. They got a lot of drivers coming in for that. I know Andy Mondays join in, Brian Mondays join in that race, among others. So it's going to be an exciting night for the Wisconsin Sport Trucks, and a well-deserved honor for Rob Vandermoss. Did so much for racing himself. Was the club president for a while. Just a great guy that we miss. I felt like I grew a lot under Rob Vandermoss when he was president and a part of the club in a big way, and sure do miss him.
Yep, we do miss him out there, man, for sure. So we'll celebrate his night and we'll dedicate the whole night of all the activity out there. So, hey, that Mark Martin deal, man, even if the weather turns foul, it's still going to be on. So no matter what, if the weather's kind of bad, but you still got some Mark Martin gear or something to get signed, Mark will be out there. So, it's a rain or shine deal there.
Yeah, that's right. If it rains out, the admission is $10 to get in to meet Mark Martin and all that. Go to the Wisconsin International Raceway socials. It'll give you all the details. Fox River Racing Club probably posts about it too. So go out to their socials and find out that information. But it still will be on, like Mark said, if the weather moves in, unfortunately. Hopefully that does not happen. I feel like yesterday they moved it out of the forecast. Today it seems like it's going to be scattered thunderstorms in the PM back into it. So we'll see what happens, but we'll be all right. And we're gonna have a great night, remembering Rob and his doing everything for his family, and cool to have Mark Martin out there, man.
For sure, man. Mark is a pretty cool dude. Met him down in Madison a couple weeks ago, and boy, I tell you what, he'll talk with you, and he was down in Madison. He was everywhere, but he's just going to be up there. And boy, if you got something to sign, he'll get all over the top of that, really a friendly guy.
Yeah, he was up here back in 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. Right as Ty Majeski was making his Roush career happen. And that was a big deal back then, and Mark just wants to support local racing, so it's great to see him not only at Madison, he's going in the Circle of Fame tomorrow night for WIR, and it's really cool.
It is cool. Remember the line, how long that was, man, to go get that signatures? The line was crazy, dude. It took up the whole front, all the way from the turn 4 beer stand all the way to the other beer stand. So, it's quite popular. I kind of expect the same kind of thing, man. People all know that Mark's coming.
Absolutely. Well, another great episode ahead of us here. We're going to have Grant Griesbach join us here in a little bit. I've been calling him the hottest driver in the country. Man, he has a couple of Truck Series wins. He won the Bear 96 with the Tundra Super Late models. He won the Rick Summers Memorial last Thursday night, part of the Red Race. So he's been hot, and can't wait to talk to him, hear about his story, and see what's going on with him, and Then, of course, our normal stuff. We'll recap all the local racing, the news, NASCAR. Boy, there was a lot of racing, F1, IndyCar, a lot of stuff happening on. And also, speaking of IndyCar, they're at Road America this weekend, so that's big for us up here in Wisconsin. So cool to see them keep coming back here, especially at Road America. What a great facility that is. So got a lot to talk about. So why don't we pause here and bring Grant on before we get too far into it.
Let's go to the hotline.
Let's do it. All right, Grant, thanks for joining us, buddy. Coming off that big Rich Summers Memorial Red Race win. How are you doing?
Good. It's been a busy week getting back at it. Getting ready to go for tomorrow night and Saturday at Marshfield.
Hey, man, describe how your season's gone so far this year.
It's even hard to explain. This is by far, the season could end tomorrow, and it's the best season we've ever had. With 2 truck wins, 2 big wins at WR that I don't want to rank them, but they're 1 and 2 on my biggest super late wins ever. So we've been chasing a red, white, and blue series victory for a long time, and we've had plenty that I felt like we had a car to win. But it's definitely just feels like everything's finally coming together and luck's turning around, and we're just getting great results.
Yeah, man, I want to go back a little bit here before we talk about this season and talk about what's looking ahead for you. But I want to know how you got into racing here. Was your family involved in racing? When did you know you wanted to start? Tell us the beginnings for you.
My dad always loved racing when he was a kid. He always says they didn't have race cars in the trailer park he grew up in. So when I was 5 years old, him and Santa bought me a go-kart, and it's kind of just taken on from there. We traveled the country racing go-karts when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old. We raced all the way to Daytona, Pennsylvania, Carolinas, you name it, we were probably there racing go-karts. And when I was 9 to 10-ish, we kind of just decided that the oval track stuff was what we wanted to pursue. And now I've been in super lates for 11 years. So feels like I've already been doing it my whole life. And it's became more of a part of my life instead of, something I just do once in a while for fun.
Did you go right from the karts to super lates, or was there something in between there?
I did Slinger Bs or Bandits, 4 cylinders, whatever. All tracks call them differently for 2 full seasons when I was 10 and 11. And then I did a season and a half of limited late model racing. And I had a bed wreck in the Big 8 race at the Dixieland one year, and I was already kind of driving Conrad Morgan's backup car for the Slinger Nationals that year in a super late, and finished out the season in that.
Well, that's Slinger. That's kind of a tough place right away to start your career, ain't it?
Yeah, it was. I didn't think of it as challenging because it was the only oval I knew, and it's been a place I was watching since I was 2-3 years old. So it's kind of where I grew up. So I can see the challenges now that I'm older of someone that's never been there, because it's just, there's nothing like it. But 10 years old, it was one of the only tracks that would allow me to race. So that's just kind of where we blended in.
10 years old, that's pretty crazy going around that place. You mentioned hooking up with Conrad Morgan. What's that relationship been like? Because he's one of the legends of the sport.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it was kind of right place, right time. We had a sponsor that was one of his crew guys, and I just got talking to him, and he threw that offer out to drive his backup car, and it's just my excitement of working on it. We didn't make the Nationals that year, but we were close, and that's kind of also a tall task in your first ever super late model race. But it was just kind of getting the seat time, and it's kind of been like an extended family member, what he's done for my race career, what he's taught me, and just his patience, but also just keeping me on it and kind of showing me the ropes of what it takes to run a super late model team.
So what brought you up to Wisconsin International Raceway? You're from Pewaukee, but you started making the trip up to WIR back in, 2019, 2020, somewhere around there?
I'd say 17, 8, I got it right in front of me. 2018 was my rookie year.
Sure.
So just kind of, I always had family in the area. That's where my dad was originally from, New London, and it was just kind of, I had family up there, so I could get crew help. And it just kind of came together, and I kind of fell in love with it. It was something different. I mean, I love Slinger, but it's like you get sick of anything you do after a while, and I don't know if sick of it's the right word, but you needed a little change, and running Thursday nights at a half mile was definitely something we enjoyed and still enjoy to do.
Holy smokes, dude! 7 years already. Isn't that
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, it's so weird. I feel old when I think about how long I've been doing all this stuff. So I kind of feel like a veteran already a little bit, like I'd kind of been there and done that with all of it.
A lot of people do say that if you can run Slinger and you can run WIR, that you can pretty much run anywhere. Do you believe in that? And what have those two tracks done for you as you start to travel more with the trucks and other series?
I don't know how much I believe in it. I do believe that they are two very challenging racetracks, but sometimes they can create some bad habits. Like Slinger, you get the habit of just thinking there's a lot of grip going into a corner because there's banking to save you, and it's WIR, you kind of find the right area, and you might even think there's less grip just because of how old the surface is there. So it's definitely two very different tracks, as we have two cars that run it. But I do feel like it's helped me in the truck series, but I also feel like that's a two-way street. I feel like the truck series has also helped me improve my driving for the super lates.
Obviously, we just mentioned the Midwest Truck Series here. You linked up with Lynch Racing there. How did that come together?
That's again back to Scott's helped Conrad Morgan forever, and was kind of part of that extended race family. And when he bought the truck, I believe back at the end of 2022, right before the Halloween, I kind of said, well, if you want me to drive it, I'll drive it for you. And then I did it the Halloween and didn't go so hot, but it's kind of got the foot in the door, and then ran part-time in 2023. And I think he realized that it was a little bit easier to go down to one driver. So last year we started running full-time, and it took a little bit to kind of get going, but we ended last season very strong, and kind of just hit the ground running this year.
That's a real premier truck in that series, though, dude, that you've landed into.
Yeah, it's still like we put a lot of work into it. It's not like the $70,000-$80,000 race trucks you see a lot of these people showing up to the racetrack in this year. But that truck definitely got a complete rebuild over the off season. We got Andrew Morrissey helping us on it. So it's just kind of it's just a product of everyone's hard work, putting it together and coming together at the racetrack.
You picked up that big win in the Midwest Truck Series. I remember the Dixieland Delight up at Kaukauna last year, and that's part of how your season was kind of ending strong there.
Yeah,
that was a big win to pick it up at. I guess we'll call it your home track.
Yeah, one of my home tracks.
Yeah.
So no, that was definitely good to get a truck when I felt like I should have had one a lot earlier in the truck series. A lot of the super late guys come into it thinking it's easy, and it's just as challenging as any other race series. The competition's just insane.
You and Brad J.J. Miller had that incredible battle during that race. That was kind of a classic Midwest Truck Series race.
Yeah, no, that was probably one of the most entertaining races of all time. I feel like in the truck series, it's just side-by-side battle for that long with two guys that have been around short track racing for at least me 10 to 15 years, but Brad's been around for 30 years. So it's just two guys that have been around it and done it forever and could have a clean race and put on an excellent show for the fans.
I remember the classic afterwards, man, hanging out in the pits that night after your first victory.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was a fun after party. But Brad's always he never loses a party, so that's normally where we try to hang out after the Dixieland. And I was already very tired after getting in a car and doing 250 laps after that as well. So that was definitely a long day. You almost kind of you don't forget because you're in 250 laps after it, and you feel like that race was last week already. But you got to take time and celebrate.
Yeah, there were some great memories there. Hey, man, you're leading the Midwest Truck Series points currently, 19 over Chester Ace here, so it's been a great start for you.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up those two big wins already heading into Marshfield this upcoming weekend. How do you continue that good stretch that you're on?
We just got to keep everything together. Kind kind of just make sure we don't have any big mistakes. Obviously, stuff happens. It's racing. That's part of it. But just coming to these tracks, just be consistent, keep our nose clean, and just try to finish top 5, top 10. Just keep taking whatever we can get and whatever comes to us.
Also picked up that big win, the Bear 96 here with the Tundra Super Late models to start the season. You kind of joked around that usually you're not an early starter here, but I tell you what, you've had a hot start to the season.
Yeah, no, normally I think the earliest I've ever won a feature before this year was around normally late June, 4th of July weekend, and I think the most I've ever had in the season's 2 feature wins, so I'm already double that, and it's just I'm racing more, but it's more than I ever could have imagined. We're 11 races in with 4 wins, and we've only had 1 finish outside the top 5, and it was at Plover with an 8th place run in the truck at a place I always seem to struggle. So it's just been an excellent year, and both programs have just been running strong.
Hey, you got that victory down in Cedar Rapids. Lauren and I haven't yet to be at that facility. What kind of track is that? We're going down there in July, so what kind of a facility is down there, man?
It's a nice facility. It's the only, I think, racetrack kind of in the area in Iowa. So they got a good crowd. The racetrack's very, very racy with the truck series. I don't know how great of a super late track it'd be because it's very low grip and kind of just always sideways, always turning. It's just like a round half mile. So flat, no grip. And it's just all about getting off the corner and making sure you just have roll speed through the center. Big bump out of turn 4 is definitely interesting. If you stand at the pit entrance looking down the front straightaway, I don't think you could see one truck that was driving straight off of that corner. So it's definitely an abrasive racetrack, and it's cool to have different racetracks, and a lot of them can kind of blend together and seem similar, but to me there's nothing like it. I've heard it's similar to Marshfield, but I've never been to Marshfield before this weekend either.
Oh man, I can't wait to get down to Hawkeye Downs there, but you'll enjoy Marshfield. I always tell the WIR guys that I feel like if you run well at WIR, you have a chance to run well at Marshfield. I feel like for whatever reason, the drivers up there do. So that'll be cool to see you up there. I want to go back to the Thunder Series win for just a little bit. You had a hold on. You took the lead, but you had to hold on to that lead there, and it got interesting late. You had to hold on to Cody Vanderloop was applying all sorts of pressure on you late there. Talk about that late race battle and your ability to hang on.
Yeah, well, eventually Dalton Zier was kind of checked out in that race. He had a couple-second lead, and he was just minding his time, and then you see him smoke start coming out the back with, I believe, 3.5 to go, and then it kind of, I think Cody and Gabe Sommers kind of turned the heat up, because then you're not just racing for a second anymore, you're racing for a race win. So they were definitely late chargers. We were really tight in that race, so it's kind of just, tried to be careful, enter the corners a little easy, and just not miss my marks, and don't give it away. I'm someone that I drive on the conservative side, especially when it comes to that, just to not give up the bottom and not just give them an easy pass. So it was tight in the end, and it was Cody Vanderloop's first super late model race. So I think for him, if you told him second place was going to be your first race, I think he'd take that all day long. And at the end, he had a shot to win, and he had a great car as well.
That's the thing I actually wanted to talk about. How much did your experience running WIR all these years help you to finish off that race?
I think it just helped me because I knew we'd still run the Ace motor up there, so I knew I had 50 pounds off compared to a lot of guys. So that's kind of what in my mind, especially just letting Dalton Zier go out and get in front of me, and he was really going hard, so I figured he'd use his stuff up, and there was a chance with 5 to 10 to go, we could make a late race charge and have it come to us, and just kind of take care of that right rear tire. And it was a 96 lap race, and I know maybe no one else knew that at the way the first 3 laps went, but just kind of keep your nose clean and avoid the wrecks and just run all the laps. You got to be there in the end to win it.
Hey, last week during the red race, man, you had Casey Johnson right on your heels, man, and Chad Butts caught him, and they were doing a racing deal. Do you notice that's going on, or do you just knock the mirror off and just don't even look at that and hold your own line?
Well, I knew Casey was right behind me, and my dad was doing a pretty good job giving me some information, and I knew Casey Johnson sets up all of our super late stuff, so I knew if he felt like he couldn't win anymore and that he was passing him, he'd race the 8 hard to try to hold him up. So I kind of figured I had like a 7-8 car length gap with 3 to go, but I knew it would still be close in the end with as hard as he was charging, and it ended up just being close in the end. And that last lap was kind of just to hit your marks, don't give up the bottom, and as long as you don't let them next to you, you can't pass you. So just hold on. The race is 50 laps, so that's the only lap that really matters to be in front.
We talked about this in Victory Lane a little bit, Grant. I know you appreciate the history around WIR and everywhere you go. Rich Summers, obviously another legend of the sport, the first Fox River Racing Club champion. The Summers Memorial puts some extra cash on the line. They do a great job with that and everything. I don't necessarily like to ask this because every win is meaningful, but how much more does that add to the meaningness of winning a race like that?
It was just double it. It was kind of everything in one. Being the red race, it just was one of those red, white, and blue. It's cool to win any 3 of those, and that's something that I've been chasing for 8 years now. And I felt like I've had a couple stolen away from me in the end, and just some that haven't worked out, part failures and stuff like that. So that's cool. And the Rich Summers Memorial is also just a big event. I won that in 2022. It's normally in late August, and this is the first year that they kind of combined it with the red race, and I think it kind of even adds more incentive to that kind of early summer big event that's paying a decent amount to win and attracts a lot of good drivers and cars to the track.
Do you think they should keep it as the red race and early in the season, or do you not have a preference on that?
I kind of like it because it brings more awareness to the race. The Rich Summers Memorial is just always a weekly show at the end of the year, kind of getting into the dog days of summer. So I feel like it really revitalized it and kind of made it something that we advertised, and it actually got the publicity it should. You never want to forget those guys that built the racing club there, and without those guys paving the way, we wouldn't be racing there today. So it's kind of good to honor it and good to get some awareness to the history of that place.
Hey, man, what's your goals for the rest of the year? Have they changed since the beginning of the year?
I'm kind of not on a huge, I just always have championship aspirations. I've kind of just wanted to be there in the end. It's still racing, so there's some luck that's involved in it near the end. It's a little early, but it's just kind of keep running up front, top 5, and just having chances to win. If you're up top 3, top 5, the wins are going to find you. So you got to just keep running up there and see where the points shake out at the end. But it would be cool to hopefully get a couple championships, no matter what they are, where they are. Just keep working on it.
Hey, man, back in 2021, you had an awesome season as well. Barely missed out on that Fox River Racing Club championship. And I'm sorry to bring that up because I'm sure that still burns with you a little. But I think it's important to talk about, too. You missed out by 3 points there. And I remember I was emceeing the banquet there, and second sucks is kind of the phrase that you use, and it's kind of stuck ever since with you. Talk about your 2021 and how close you got there to that championship.
That was one of those that I was still early, felt like I was early-ish in my Super Lake career, and never really did compete for a championship before that year. And it was one of those years that I really didn't pay it much mind. It was still early, and then I got my first career win. I think it was July 4th weekend, and then you kind of get into late summer. I got a decent point lead with 4 or 5 weeks to go, and it's just kind of one of those things. You race safe and you race clean and just mind your own time. And we had a part failure, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks to go. Blew up a rear end locker, spool, whatever it was at the time, and you turn a 5th place run into a 20th place run, and that's probably a good 20-30 points right there. So you can just kind of count. It's easy to point in just that one finger, but you can also, it's really hard living in that hindsight of, in 1 or 2 features, could you have squeezed one more spot out? And it's just that hindsight of that. And everyone says you got to lose one to win one, but that one definitely stung. And it's been something that I've just been trying to get back there the last few years. So it's good to finally be back up in contention for points, and hopefully we just keep stacking these top 3s, top 5s.
How early do you pay attention to points, or do you just let it work itself out? I feel like I don't want to be demeaning about this, but drivers say all the time, we don't worry about points. We don't worry about points. But I feel like sometimes they're the first ones to bring it up. So I'm always curious to get drivers' opinions on that. So where do you stand?
It's one of those things that's always in the back of your mind, but at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do about it other than go out and try to run the best race you can. It's just about not overdoing it, not making the big risks, and you really can't win it this time of year, but you can sure lose it. So it's just trying not to give it away, just making those conservative moves and just keeping the nose clean and making sure if a fifth place finish is what's going to come to you, you take a fifth place finish. So it's just biding your time and don't make mistakes.
Hey man, who helps you behind the scenes, man? Who helps you make you go?
Well, Casey Johnson's, we've been working with him for 3-4 years now, and we've always had fast stuff, and it's just luck's never really came to us. So this year I feel like everything's clicking. He's got those reed cars running quick. He's had big success winning the Joe Shear at Madison, and he was close to the Dells the other weekend, and he's just got the Super Late program running good. I got a couple guys I bought a house last year with the shop, so finally got that done, and we're working out of there this year. So got a couple guys that are helping me out there. Connor Morgan's still involved. He helped me put the motors in over the off season, getting these cars built. After the hard wreck last year, we basically built one of the cars from the ground up. So it's just a combination of a lot of people. It's Mike and Alex coming to the shop. I got 3 guys, Max, Wolf, and Tanner are the kids. I got my great uncle Bird that's been doing tires for me at Kaukauna since I've been there. My dad's at the track with me, so I support, and I got Craig Kowalski, a spotter at WR when Casey's not there. So it's been a hard year because both races my dad's done up there. Casey was right behind us, so he's definitely helped our program, and I believe he's taught my dad a lot too about spotting. My dad's still nowhere near what he is or ever will be, but it's good to have his help. At Slinger, it's just kind of the same guys come down, and a lot of my crew lives up in that Fox Valley area, so it's hard for them to get down to my shop. But they're definitely, when they come down here for work, random work trips down here or something like that, they're always willing to help, and I think they're the hardest working crew at the racetrack. Every time the car comes off the track, they're nut and bolting it. They're looking for something that could possibly be an issue, and they're keeping it clean.
Hey man, I want to talk about Midwest trucks going forward here, talking about some of the tracks you're going to hit here. Some of them I feel like suit you. We talked about Marshfield, you've never seen it, but your experience at WIR, I think will help you. Slinger, obviously one you have to be looking forward to. That's the prelude to the Nationals. They're Jefferson, Madison, WIR, of course, Grundy, Dells, Jefferson, a couple more times lacrosse, and then ending at Dells where you already got one win. What are you looking forward to most with the rest of the Midwest Truck Series season?
I'm really looking forward to that Slinger race. Last year we got fast time and we were kind of buried in the pack, I'll say. It's a big track position game there with those 602 crates and just really difficult to pass. So hopefully we can still qualify really good, but hopefully make some moves and get to the front. Slinger's a place where I haven't won since 2017, so it's been 8 years since I've got a feature there. So I kind of just got that place circled. It's one of those places that it's a love-hate relationship. So you gotta mind your time there, and hopefully a win can come to us there. But WIR always look forward to the Dixieland. Grundy, we were there last year, just practiced before the rain came, but we were very good there. And Madison, we're always fast. Dells were always fast. And Jefferson, we had a 5th or 6th place run there last year. I had one attempt there, but it's a place 15, 20 minutes away from home. So hopefully can pick up some speed there and run some laps. So I'm just looking forward to the entire rest of the year for the truck season. Those guys, Scott and John and their families, just they bust their tails on that truck. And you never have to worry that you're in bad equipment, and we just work so well together as a team.
Speaking of Slinger, you have a 2nd place finish there here recently. How's your season going down there in the super late model?
It's been really good. We've qualified 2nd both weeks to Steve Apel, so we've been running 11.0s, and that's faster than I ever thought we'd go around that racetrack. So the next week we kind of just got some damage from some contact and kind of tore that right rear tire apart, like we seen sell a little bit too in the Stars race last week, and some guys were having that issue. But it's that fender rubs and tires hot, and it tears right off. So we came home fifth, so I believe we're leading the points there as well. So it's been a really good season with only 6 points races. It's, you don't like to think about it, but the season's already a third of the way over there. So it's hopefully just keep stacking top threes, top fives there, and hopefully find our way in victory lane in the next 4 or 5, including the truck. And you never know with the Slinger Nationals, you can try to be up front, and you got to be there in the end of that one too.
Hey, you brought up the tires and stuff like that. They've really stepped up the speed on these cars with this tire, man. I mean, do you feel the extra grip that's out there?
WIR is a hard place to feel the extra grip just because it already lacks a lot of grip. You don't feel in the car like you're going all that much faster than we used to. When you think of it, it looks like a lot on the time charts, 2-3 tenths of a second, but it's still blink of an eye or two, and it seems like a lot of speed, but it's really not. And I think the racing's kind of been a little bit better. At the beginning of the year, the racing was awesome between Dell's, Slinger, WR was racy, and people could pass. So we'll see how it carries over into the summer, and hopefully they can still put on good shows and make it where you kind of got to save your stuff in the end.
Are you? We just talked about running the Slinger Nationals. Are you also going to run the Dixieland and do double duty again there this August?
The goal is to. We'll kind of see. It's a little bit far out, and then I got to decide which car I want to bring there. And with running Thursday nights and having to be back there 48 hours later, it's a very tall task to try to run 250 laps there and show back up 48 hours later. So we'll see. And also with the way the truck's been going, I'd like to put, my full effort and attention into that. It worked out last year, but I still don't want to. The season's going good. You can't get too greedy and try to do too much and mess 2 things up at once.
Do you plan on traveling anywhere else with the super late model as the season gets going, or maybe some fall specials?
Yeah. I might hit another Tundra race. We'll see. Might work out a teammate deal there. And try to run for the championship in that with the great start we had. So might see us at one more Tundra race. Oktoberfest is something I was really excited to go to last year. With that wreck at the end of the year, we weren't able to do it in anything other than the truck. So always look forward to bringing a super late to La Crosse. We'll see. With the truck series, I don't really like to do double duty. I just feel like it's hard enough to run one car at a track in a night. It's really hard to succeed in 2. Unless you got the right people behind you and you got all hands on deck. So we'll see. I'm trying to avoid it, but I'd like to see the Super at the Dells, maybe a couple special events here or there once our weekly stuff ends. And it's always, you never know how it's going to end and what car's together and how much money you got left sitting in the race account.
Well, you're currently also sitting second in points at WIR as well. And I always have this theory. There's someone who starts really hot, and then we see as we get into the summer months. But like we talked about, you're usually kind of a late starter there. So this could be your year here. Yeah,
hopefully it is, and we can keep the luck together. I'd like to think it really. It could always get better, but with this hot start, we just gotta keep it going. And if we could just keep it the same and just keep running off finishes and keep finishing races and make sure we just don't have any bad luck, I think we can be there in the end.
Hey, with the super late, any story on having the number 17?
I was just a little kid, and with Matt Kenseth was always racing. My dad loved NASCAR, and that was kind of the number I decided to pick when I was a little kid, and we've always had the GT. That's my initials. So kind of made it our own touch, and I feel like it's kind of made its own little brand and kind of something that there's other people that are number 17, so it kind of differentiates you a little bit.
Well, I just heard another great interview with Matt Kenseth. He was on Jimmy Johnson now has a podcast with Marty Smith. Never Settle, it's called. I heard that today during my lunch hour, and it's really good with, him talking about him transitioning over to a leadership role with Legacy Motor Club and all that. So that's pretty cool that you picked 17 kind of because you're a fan there. But hey, man, we appreciate you coming on here. You've had one heck of a start to the season. Can't wait to see you keep going here, and hope for the best for you. Thanks for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you back on here soon, and keep it up, man. We appreciate you.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Good luck tomorrow night and also up at Marshfield on Saturday.
All right,
man?
thank you. We'll see you tomorrow night. Come have a beer after the races.
All right. I will have that.
All right.
Boy, it was great to have Grant on, talk about his story. And I like your last question there. I always am curious about the stories of the numbers. And I know you are too, and you've been asking it on the last few podcasts. I remember asking that, when we started doing these interviews, that was a common question that I would ask. And you've kind of now asked it a few times. And I appreciate you asking that, because that's always an interesting one to me. But what a story he has, racing that young, 10 years old, that Slinger. My goodness, like, that's crazy. And, he's 2021, so close, 3 points out of the championship and having issues late in the season, unfortunately. But could this be his year? You're talking about, could he be the Midwest Truck Series champion? Very hot in that. Second in points at WIR right now. Picking up that big win last week. So could this be the year where maybe he wins 2 championships and it makes 2021 look like nothing?
Yeah, I told him last week, man, just keep riding the wave. Keep doing what you're doing, Well, boy, when the luck is right there and then all of a sudden you're getting the great finishes and everything, man, you just ride it out and keep going. Yep, that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, and I always appreciate stopping in his pit, and his dad's always a joy to talk to a funny guy there, and now he's a club officer, and just a great racing family, and I enjoy stopping over there, and for him to join this program and tell his story. Very well done, and appreciate you, Grant.
Did you see them big trophies last week when we walked down there, man? Also, these things were skyscrapers sitting on top of the toolbox. So good stuff, man. Love that team. Love hanging around down there afterwards, man. Good, genuine people there.
For sure. Looking forward to another Thursday Night Thunder tomorrow night. Hopefully the weather holds off, but like I said, we'll be all right, and we'll make it happen. All right. I also wanted to make a note here as we transition to longtime NASCAR team owner Charlie Henderson passed away this past week. He was the owner of Henderson Trucks, which Parker Kligerman has been driving in the last few years, and he also was the owner of Food Country USA. So he did so much for the sport, and unfortunately we lost him over this past week. So condolences to his friends and family, and I don't know how else to say this, Mark. It just seems like every time we're hopping on, there's someone that we're losing here, but it's important to remember them and pay respects, I feel like. So I always want to mention it, because we can't do it without these people. And I'm kind of getting goosebumps just talking about it, because they mean so much to the sport. They're a big reason of why we love the sport, and it was cool to see the Henderson trucks run well and all that. So unfortunately, we lost Charlie.
Yep. So, there's so many people in the racing community and like that. So prayers and to the family and friends of that family.
Yeah. Speaking of last week, we can kind of continue there. It was the red race out there. Wisconsin Sport Truck winner was Mason Kelmus. Like Grant, he was very hot to start the season. Had some issues, a few bumps in the road over the last few weeks, but he found himself back in victory lane.
Yeah, he lost the lead and thought that was, the Vanderloop boy got him, and then comes back and, and got it and got the victory right back. Super fast, just to chip off the old block with the Kelmus family there, huh?
Yeah. In the Sizzling Fours, Ben Schulte took the win, and I believe your video, it said maybe the best Sizzling Four feature of all time, because him and Shane Schwaller went at it to end the race there, and Ben Schulte squeaked it out.
That was a fun race, I was saying, here comes the bump and run, you just knew it there, and some fans are fans of that and some aren't, but it's there. You got the white flag, gloves off, elbows up, man. And yeah, I enjoyed that one. That was the best race of the night out there.
It was awesome. In the super stock division, Ethan Beatty picked up his second win of the season. He's had a good start here too.
Man, he's picking up all kinds of checkered flags this year.
In the late models, J.J. Vanderloop took the win. That was another pretty good race.
Boy, that kid's getting better everywhere, isn't he? The more he drives, the faster he's getting. He's got the touch, man. He's going to be somebody here.
He had to beat, I believe it was Brazen Bennett, who was coming on strong at the end there. So that was an awesome race there. Of course, we just had Grant Griesbach on. He won the Rich Summers from Memorial Red Race in the Super Late Models. And then Craig Van de Wettering found himself back in victory lane in the figure eights. And unfortunately, there were so many drivers on the front stretch that I was going through them. And before I could get over to Craig, he had gone, and they told him to go to Tech. But I ran into him in the pits after, which I wasn't going to go in the pits, and I'm glad I did. And he said it'll make the next victory lane special when I run into him. So cool to see Craig back out racing at WIR.
Yeah, very cool. So that figure eights are always entertaining also, man.
Yeah. In addition to that, the Tundra Super Late Models were supposed to run the Bev Aschenbrenner Memorial. That has been rescheduled and was postponed, so that will now be running September 13th.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I was going to go up there, but they called it early and saved everybody travel, so good call there.
Yeah. Then it was the big weekend for the ASA Stars National Tour, the doubleheader, where they ran Madison on Friday, Slinger on Sunday. I tell you what, that race down in Madison was pretty exciting. Rookie Carson Brown won the race. It was Brown, Butcher, and Ty Fredrickson. Summers had fast time and won stage one, but he broke later in the race. Fenhouse won stage two, but also broke. The wheel and axle broke completely from the housing there. The tire actually hit the back of Bichelle, did some damage on the back end of his machine, and then nailed the track and came back down onto the track. So fortunate that tire stayed in the park and didn't do damage to anyone or anything else. But that definitely hindered, obviously, Fenhouse and then Bichelle too with that damage.
It was a bummer, man. The tire beat him to the corner. It came off, and then all of a sudden you have that rolling projectile running around. Just not a very good deal, man. It could be very dangerous, And Ty Majeski, he blew a motor. It's about 13 laps in. I talked to his dad down at Slinger and said when he brought it in there, and it just sounded like it was going to rattle itself right out of the car. And so it was an internal part that broke on that car. So he got 13 laps out of it. But looked like a good show, good crowd at Madison on Friday night.
Yeah, it looked great. I wasn't able to get anywhere this weekend with family things going on, but yeah, it looked like a great show. A lot of people there, so that was a good crowd there. And yeah, Ty is another one that needs to kind of break this streak of bad luck. Thursday he was up for the Rich Summers Memorial Red Race, and he got 1 or 2 laps in and had to pull off with an issue. So he's had some rough luck lately.
Yeah, the bolt broke that holds the ballast inside the rail, and it made contact with the tire. And I ended up going into the trailer checking that tire out, and it was grooved. It was a groove in there, and it was so deep and the tire was still holding air, and it was amazing. Boy, he smoked it up pretty good. But yeah, Ty has had some really crazy luck this spring, man. It's crazy.
Then the ASA Stars National Tour went to Slinger, like we talked about. Kind of some more attrition with parts here. Drivers had drivetrain, axle, and other issues. Brown, Summers, and Steckley were some that had early issues. Luke Fenhouse won stage one, but unfortunately, while racing, Luke got a little high up and hit the wall and broke there. Ty would win stage two. And then later on, Mondyke would get hit and had a tire go down and spin. Bichelle and Nason came together on the front stretch, and Nason went hard in the wall into turn one on the front stretch there. Thorne had a tire go down, and I think maybe even a rear end gave way on the 96 machine. Fredrickson also had an issue. Pincinalt moved. Got into Klein a little bit, who then moved up the track, but Steckley was there and they wrecked. That was a pretty big wreck where Phillips and Nee also got collected. But what a fantastic finish. Cole Butcher was able to hang on over Ty Majeski, Stephen Nassy, Derek Krause, and Gavin Bichelle there. And Mark, you were there in person. How was that? It looked incredible.
It was incredible, dude. It was a heck of a race. It was something where you went through the whole first stage and ran 110 laps, man. Just ran it straight out, and nobody touched nobody, and everybody stayed clean. Majeski took the $5,000 bonus to start last, and just watching him slice and dice. He got up to sixth place after the first stage. But then as the race got going, man, you could just see how much more aggressive everybody was getting to be. But at the end, man, I'll tell you what, that was just a classic Butcher Majeski deal. It was, one thing that was really awesome though, dude. When I left the facility at the ticket booth there stood Bob Sargent standing there, and he had the nicest smile on his face, just watching the reaction of the fans. And he was just standing there watching. And I walked up there and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "Bob, that was a classic show, good show, man." And he said, "Thank you." He tapped me on the back, and we went our way. So, smaller crowd than what I thought. I thought there'd be a standing room only kind of deal. It was a good crowd. But 19 supers, man, and I think 12 finished, 13 finished, which was higher than what I thought, because you know how Slinger can make them cars cry uncle, after 300 laps. That's quite of a long race there, but classic race, and nobody was going to beat Cole Butcher, man. That car was on a rail. It was a rocket.
Yeah, he was good all weekend, even down in Madison. So what a great weekend for the ASA Stars National Tour, and I hope they continue this Wisconsin swing and come up here, because I don't know, I enjoy it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Slinger will put out better or more entertainment than what Milwaukee Mile does, in my opinion. They're two totally different animals, but boy, Slinger's an action track, man. Stuff happens there so fast, and it was a good show, and I probably would think that they're going to come back and do a Northern Swing again next year.
Yeah, I hope so for sure. ARCA kind of had a big weekend as well. Trayton Lapsovich won over at Berlin, part of the ARCA Menard Series. And then the West Series race was over at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. Trevor Huddleston won that race.
That Lapsovich deal, he led every lap, and that's his first victory. And so that was quite entertaining watching that race. Watching that race from Berlin sure brings back a lot of memories from when I was over there a couple of years ago. Quite the facility. As a race fan, it should be on your bucket list. You should go over there and check out Berlin. They got a Money in the Bank on a Wednesday. I think it's the race before the Blue Race. And that's what's going on over there. So, yeah, that should be on your bucket list to go over there and check that out.
It's on mine. I got to get over there. F1 also was racing over in Canada. George Russell had pole and won there over Verstappen and Antonelli. It was Antonelli's first podium, and he's only 18 years old. He's a rookie with Mercedes there, took over for Lewis Hamilton there. Norris made some contact with his teammate Piastri. Piastri ended up fourth still, but Norris went out of the race. And Hamilton hit a groundhog in the middle of the race, which damaged his car, and he finished 6th or 7th. But a lot of animals getting hit lately. I think Ty Dillon hit that squirrel recently, and now Lewis Hamilton hit a groundhog. So hopefully we don't see any of that continuing, man. Like crazy.
We got to put up crossing signs, right? You got to put up a yellow sign
Right.
for crossing to be cautious. Yeah, so... Yeah, I remember over at Pocono, wasn't it that, there's so much out in the woods, wasn't there deer one year that jumped over the wall, or there was kind of all kinds of wildlife over there too. So
I think,
the first time.
there was a fox.
Yeah, maybe a fox. And we've seen rabbits on the track, and yeah, they're race fans too,
Yeah, and Fox was over at Road America when the bikes were there too. So yeah, man, there's some wildlife going around these tracks here.
Yeah. That means you're far enough out of town, right?
Right. Yeah. IndyCar then was at Worldwide Technology Raceway down in Madison, Illinois, right next to St. Louis there. Kyle Kirkwood won that one over Pato Award and Rasmussen. Power went out early. He had a tire go down and got into the wall, and then a big flipping crash for Newgarden. I mean, I don't know what he could have done there when that car, I apologize, Foster spun and he came down the track, and there was a car in front of Newgarden that kind of went right. Newgarden made a last-minute decision. He kind of turned right initially and then went left to avoid the other car, and just whammo, as Mark Allen would say, and flipped over. And in addition to that, it was a bad night for Penske because McLaughlin also broke late too. So all 3 Penske cars went out. But thankful that Foster and McLaughlin are okay because that was a big hit.
That was a big hit. He almost cleared the fence. That would have been a lot more scarier if he would have slid onto pit road. But crazy camera work, huh? Even when they're upside down, man, the camera still works. Remember, it used to be, when a car went upside down, they lost the feed, But nowadays, geez, cars are upside down. You see the shower of sparks and scary wreck. Yeah, Newgarden couldn't do nothing after he already committed to going to the inside. And when they come across there, you just can't stop on a dime, man. And that could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, very thankful. And Newgarden was leading the race at that point.
Yep. So he was probably on his way for the victory. Boy, I like IndyCar on ovals, huh?
Yeah.
Indy's over there, and Iowa coming up soon, and they'll be at Milwaukee later on. So yeah, there's some oval racing with IndyCar. I like it.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, talking about Road America coming up here, but just awesome. Racing, I really like Worldwide Technology Raceway. I was down there for that Midwest Tour race back in 2016, I think it was, and also the trucks ran the next day, and man, it was so cool.
Oh, yeah, the hottest day you ever had, though, because it gets super hot there, doesn't it?
Oh, it was brutal. Yeah, I don't. It's a unfortunate kind of memory that. My wife and I will kind of remember for part of it. But yeah, it was like 100 degrees, and it was hot. 100 degrees, 100% humidity. Some rain came, which helped, but it delayed it, so we didn't really get to see the Silver Crown that was there. I was looking forward to that. We got to see part of it, but then they kicked us out of the stands. But after that, it seemed okay, but we didn't get out of the track until very late. The racing was great though, and that was when Spencer Gallagher and John West Townley tumbled on in turn 1 and 2. So we got to see that. So that's kind of a cool memory. But even the next day, it was super hot. We got stuck. In what do you want to call it? An elevator at Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play, St. Louis Cardinals. Again, 100% humidity, 100 degrees, shoulder to shoulder, and we're stuck. Firefighters had to come rescue us. So that weekend is memorable for a lot of the wrong reasons, but I'd like to go back. But the track was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen the track. I've drove by it many times, man, but I've never been a part of that. So yeah, I'll do a bucket list and go down there for a race someday.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we'll talk about NASCAR here. I got a question for you because I couldn't find any results on this. Max Gutierrez won the NASCAR Mexico Series race on Friday. Did they ever say who won on Saturday?
I didn't see that. The only thing I seen was that one car that went flying with the throttle wide open and slammed the wall, and there was water there, and it was just like, yikes, but didn't really pay attention too much to the Mexican side of it.
Yeah, I couldn't find who won the Saturday race. They kind of did a double header as well, and I could not find who won that second race. But the racing looked pretty cool. I always like kind of seeing that Mexico Series. The cars are a little different. Remember when they came out to the Coliseum too? So that was pretty cool to see.
They almost look like an ARCA car, kind of that way of the old Gen 7 car kind of thing. So they look a little bit different, but they love their racing down there, man. They got a heck of a series there.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find anything here to say if anyone
If it was
won
Suarez, you'd know about it, right?
on Saturday. Yeah. Man, I wish it would say. But anyway, um, Mexico series looked like it was pretty cool there. So um, I'd like to see it's cool to see something different every now and then. It looks like almost like in between an ARCA car and a late model. I can't put it together. I don't know. But anyway, Max Gutierrez won on Friday. Not sure who won on Saturday, unfortunately. But then the Xfinity Series race was getting going. Suarez wrecked late in qualifying. Bell also spun, but still qualified third. Zilich would be on the pole, but that 9 team for Junior Motorsports had a lot of work to do after qualifying.
Yeah, that was for sure. And does that surprise you? Connor Zilich was on the pole. I mean, this kid's a shoo-in, ain't he?
He is, yeah. I wasn't surprised, but he had some stiff competition there too. Gibbs was up there, and actually Gibbs got into Zilich a little bit, who had to go off track and lost some spots there. So Gibbs wasn't making friends with Zilich early on.
It was interesting that you could cut the corner if you were forced to go go that way, and and then they look at the replay. I don't think anybody got pinched for cutting corners this weekend. Did you see any?
No, I think NASCAR's general rule was if they felt like you needed to go there or were forced out there, that they weren't going to penalize you. So I think they kind of did that all weekend. I didn't hear of anyone getting nabbed at all.
Well, sometimes there was 3-4 wide, and there's the track just ain't wide enough, and somebody just got boogied off to the side. And where else are you going to go? You're in the grass, but just keep on hammering down and keep going.
Mayer would spin and got into the barriers. A caution would come out for that. He kind of was in the same spot where Suarez had the same thing happen in qualifying.
Yeah, he was running sixth at the time, but that dang wheel hop, man, you get that wheel hop and on you go. Yeah, we know how much Mayer is a road course ace.
Yeah. Bell would spin, and then Allgaier had a transmission issue. Love and Sammy Smith would make some contact with Sammy going around. Quapple would win the stage by being one that stayed out there.
Yeah, so he fell in there and got the stage win right there. Gets 10 points for that too.
In stage 2, Green and Wright made some contact. Wright would go around. Alfredo also spun with a flat tire, and he actually had a sway bar break there, so bigger issues for Alfredo. Hill also had a flat tire. Quapple spun. Bell would blow up and sit on pit road here at the near the end of the stage, and they stayed green, and Bell actually got out of the car while they were still racing.
Yeah, he said, I had enough, it was out of the way. I think he was waiting for the caution, never came out, and maybe he had to pee, so he had to get going.
I heard they tried to get him to stay in, but he was far enough down. It was like kind of the entrance, but not where you would enter off the track. So he was okay doing that there at that time. But Hill would spin, and then Sammy Smith would win it by being one that stayed out there in stage 2.
Yep, over to 54 once again. So, yep, that's where that ended that stage 2.
Then after that, Zilich would get loose 3 wide and spin, but he kind of got straightened out after the contact there. A lot of contact was made throughout the field here. Zilich, Gibbs, Suarez, Mayer, Quapple, Sammy Smith, Rotzloff, Ryan Sieg, Ravello, Jones, Sawalich all get a piece of it, and Daniel Suarez took the lead during all that.
And they all crinkle crunched a whole bunch of them there, man. It was definitely chaos. Isn't that strange how you're flying 180 miles an hour into and then also you get a right turn and this way and that way and then go and do another stretch that way. But it just sets up for these really slow curves where people get into each other. And there's lots of contact going on there.
Love would spin and get into the wall, so another caution come out. But at the end of the day, it was hometown hero Daniel Suarez taking the win in the Xfinity Series over Taylor Gray, Hill, Eckes, Zilich, Sawalich, Green, Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, and Sammy Smith. Ty Gibbs had the fastest lap, 93.565 or 93.112 miles per hour, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is actually faster than the Cup Series ran.
Oh, very good. So, yeah, Taylor Gray, he had second in both stages and the finish and thought he might just get there and get Suarez, but quite popular down there for the hometown kid, right?
Well, Taylor Gray gave a shot to it, and he got in a little deep, and I think he was hoping that he didn't take out the hometown guy, because that sure would have been interesting. Not that you should race anyone differently, but man, if you take him out or anything, you are enemy number one.
Right, getting out of that place, right?
Yeah.
Security.
Yeah. For the Cup Series, then, Hocevar, Gregson, and Gibbs all had issues in practice. Qualifying got shortened due to rain, but it would be SVG who would take the pole.
Yeah, with Priest also on the outside, showing that he's getting to learn the road courses really well, too.
There was an early caution for moisture. Buescher and Cindric would stay out on slick tires here. That was an interesting decision.
Wasn't it? Did it used to be that if everybody had to be on rain tires or everybody's got to be on slicks? Well, that wasn't the case this weekend.
I think over the last year or two, they kind of switched that to where you make your choice and you lay in your bed there. But it might depend on the situation too.
Yeah. So lap one, also bang, also in. It was raining pretty hard, and it was amazing how Buescher and Cindric stayed out on slicks and actually didn't wipe out too bad or anything like that. And SVG, he said he was feeling sick. He didn't feel well once he got going, so there was a concern about that. But otherwise, yeah, that rain makes it interesting. Ain't it great we can race in the rain though? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm okay with that. Obviously, we won't race if it's a downpour, but if it's just a little bit of a wet track and raining a little bit, we'll do it. And they showed it can be done once again. Man, here was a big incident. Kyle Busch lost it going way too fast and would collect Haley, Larson, Allmendinger, Zane Smith. Also went in way too fast and collected Briscoe there. Some big hits there.
I would classify him as a bowling ball, and he just came in and he just knocked the pins everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, and Larson kind of got the worst end, and so did AJ Allmendinger. Got hit pretty hard there too. So yeah, there was a 6-car pileup right there.
Nemechek and Gregson would both spin, and Ryan Preece would win the stage by being one that would stay out there. McDowell, Hocevar, Suarez, and Stenhouse would stay on the wet weather tires, but the rest went to slick tires here.
Yeah, Gregson sure was having his issues here at this road course.
He did. Gregson would go around. Nemechek would also go around, and so would Gilliland. Truex would go around a little while later, and that would cause a yellow flag.
And that was Truex taking over for Denny Hamlin, who was on maternity leave. So the 11 was also having his issues this race here.
Yeah, paternity leave there.
Paternity, yeah.
I'm only giving you crap. Jones would get have a tire go down, and then SVG would win it by staying out.
Yeah, so that was all set right there, and we definitely see that SVG was going to be the guy up front, and he was the one he had to beat.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy restart there. SVG missed the corner, but still came out of the corner second. Multiple drivers made contact and blew the corner there. Chastain would spin. Stenhouse would go around. Just a crazy restart.
Yeah, Stenhouse got taken out by the 6 by Keselowski and almost recollected them as they went by. So lots of action going on those slow turns, man.
Truex, unfortunately, would go around again, and then Hocevar would spin. Maybe some contact with Gregson there. That would cause a caution. SVG and Bell had a pit earlier than Gibbs did, so interesting strategy was coming up here.
Yeah, people are all making different kind of strategies right here.
A lot of contact on the next restart as well. Truex almost got spun again. Leg would spin, and then a little while after that, Logano got into Austin Dillon, and Dillon would spin. Byron would get into Herbst, and Herbst would spin. Herbst almost collected. Stenhouse getting turned back around. Holy smokes, was that almost a big incident there.
Like, that was a flash that got right across the bow, and it's just amazing. That could have been a T-bone there. That could have been a dandy.
That was an interesting moment. I'll say that.
Very much so.
Here was kind of the big moment of the race. Hocevar would get into Stenhouse, and Stenhouse would spin. Hocevar lost a bunch of time there as well. Stenhouse would have some words with Carson after the race, and he told Carson that he's going to kick his butt when they get back to the States. So I'm not sure if we got a Carson Hocevar update just yet, but second time that Hocevar has gotten into Stenhouse, and Stenhouse has definitely had his share of it and doesn't want any more, and he's not going to let that happen. So, and Hocevar was a lap car there, so he definitely didn't need to be racing Stenhouse super hard. I'm just not sure what happened there, and Hocevar owned up to it when Stenhouse got to his car and said, I effed up, but how many times do you let that happen?
So, yeah, Stenhouse doesn't want to deal with the Mexican authorities, so he said, just wait till we get back home. So, boys will be boys. But, here's another one of these. It always seems like two guys always seem to find each other, and all of a sudden, like we saw that one time with Chastain and Hamlin, when they were having their feud, and also the next race, all of a sudden, there they are together again. And the next week, all of a sudden, there they are again. So it seems like there's just something about it where it's magical, so they always seem to find each other. So, yeah, I guess, can't we all be friends, right? We'll see how that works.
Right, yeah. We'll see what happens going forward. But Hocevar has had some things start to add up here with the incidents and all that. And also he, I was going to talk about our news, but I guess I'll bring it up now. He was fined by his team, Spire Motorsports, for comments that he made last week on a Twitch stream about Mexico before going down there. He has since walked those comments back there, but Hocevar is kind of in the news for all the wrong reasons right now, and eventually just adds up and weighs on how people view him. So hopefully he can get this thing turned around, and he's got the talent. It's obvious there, and if you can just not get into Stenhouse and maybe race just a little bit cleaner and find that line. It's hard because you don't want to back them down, and every young driver goes through this. I don't care. Even Chastain, he wasn't necessarily a young driver, but young into the Cup Series. He went through it. There's so many drivers that go through this where they just need to find the line. But it seems like he needs to find it sooner rather than later, because he is definitely ruffling some feathers and can't have the comments on top of it.
Yeah, but that fine was through Spire, right? Not through NASCAR. Correct. And then they took that $50,000 and they went and they donated it to food pantries and other places down there. So it went to a good cause, but it was all on his dime. But oh well, he'll learn from it. He's just a young kid making a comment. I understood it wasn't such a big deal, but he'll learn from it and we'll move on.
Yep. Getting back to the race, though, how about this guy? SVG wins the race over Bell, Elliott, Bowman, McDowell, Nemechek, Briscoe, Custer, Byron, and Buscher. You mentioned it. SVG was not feeling too well. In fact, he made a comment after the race that he was. What did he say? He had stuff coming out of both holes. And but his suit was dry and okay after the race, but he I don't know why he included that in that comment after the race, but he was able to punt a rugby ball into the stands, and he had a good time down there in Mexico City.
Barely got it over the fence, that rugby ball, but yeah, 16 seconds, and they were telling him to slow down. Dude, slow down, and he said he was losing his concentration with that, so. And then after a while, the announcer says, "Well, he's just showing off right now." That was more domination than he did at Chicago. I want to thank you for letting me have that pick there too. Also, you didn't have time to gift wrap that one, so I appreciated the 88 car dominating that race of 16 seconds. Wow. So good, entertaining race. The question is, do you think they're going back there or not? Sounds like probably not. Not right away.
Well, it sounds like they might. I had heard some things right after the race and Monday and Tuesday that led me to believe that they're not. But listening to Dale Jr. talk today, sounds like he thinks they are going back. So they might be going back. There's some other things I'll talk about. And well, before we get into that, SVG he did have the fastest lap, 93.824, 92.855 miles per hour. There. The interesting part to me is he's 33rd in points, and a lot of people are having a problem with him making the playoffs, being 33rd in points and all that. But maybe a discussion for a different day. Let's talk about what NASCAR is thinking there. So after listening to Dale Jr., it seems like he thinks they are going back, that they will make it happen. There's just some things that need to fall in place. He does think that they're not, or that there's been rumors, and if he's saying there's rumors, there's smoke where there's fire, that Chicago street course will be probably off the docket and will be replaced by Chicagoland. Road America has been brought up multiple times over the last few weeks. So again, where there's smoke, there's fire. Are they going to go back to Road America to replace that? But also in addition to that, there's been some news that NASCAR is working toward finalizing a deal to race on a street course next year in the San Diego area. Multiple industry sources told The Athletic there. So it sounds like San Diego is a good possibility. Also, a surprising thing has been brought up. There's talks about maybe going to a track in Philadelphia, which isn't too far from Pocono. It's not a street course, so it's not they're not going to race through the streets of Philadelphia, but there's a track up there apparently that's been talked about. So Philadelphia area is being talked about well. So there's some movement here, some things to figure out. But listening to Dale Jr. a little bit that I got to, it sounds like he thinks they will go back to Mexico. Chicagoland will replace the Chicago street course, and then we'll see where we go from there. But multiple people reporting that it sounds like San Diego might happen. Philadelphia, there's a track up there. I apologize, I forget what it's called. Could be an option. Road America has been in the news quite a bit lately, so some shakeup in the schedule potentially.
In Montreal, that's always been on the back burner. They couldn't get that to work either. So, well, NASCAR said they're going to shake up the schedule, man. They're working on it. They are definitely working on it.
They are, for sure. Continuing the news here, let's go to F1 before we come back to NASCAR. Speaking of schedules, Las Vegas officials have agreed on a 2-year contract extension for the Grand Prix down there. That'll cover 2026 and 2027. So we got at least 3 more years for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Also, the Canadian Grand Prix, which is where they were just this past weekend, is extended and will be on the calendar through 2035. So that's another 10 years worth of that up in Canada.
There's a commitment, huh?
Yeah, I was surprised to see that long, but good for them. Going to ARCA news, Ty Fredrickson is going to make his ARCA Menard Series debut in the Venturina Motorsports number 25 at Elko Speedway this coming Saturday. He has some really cool apparel. Go check out his social media out there to buy a shirt. It looks really cool.
Yep, I saw that, and I was going to mention that if you didn't. Did you see the apparel? And go check their site out, man, and looks pretty sharp. So, yep, get your gear out of there.
Yeah. In the truck series, Patrick Emmerling is going to drive the Spire number 07 truck at Pocono this upcoming weekend. Josh Bilicki is going to drive the Nice Motorsports number 44 truck at Lime Rock and Charlotte Road Course later in the year. And Cam Waters is going to return to the ThorSport Racing number 66 Ford F-150 for Lime Rock.
Yeah, I was looking up Lime Rock just a little bit today, just like, what is Lime Rock? What does it look like? It's a 1.53 road course. So they raced there a few years ago, but it's a head scratcher. I don't remember it. So there's another not race very much racetrack that we're going to be checking out here.
Yeah, I know that when that schedule was announced last year, it was like, ooh, that'll be interesting. It comes up on iRacing every now and then too, and kind of an interesting looking track there. So looking forward to that one later on. Um, in Xfinity Series news, Kaz Grala will drive the Sam Hunt Racing number 24 Xfinity car at Chicago Street Course, Watkins Glen, and that will be it. It looks like they list Chicago twice here. I'm not sure why. But also, congratulations to the Alfredo family. They're expecting a baby coming later this year, so congratulations to them.
All right. Maybe you'll call him Chicken, right?
Not
Don't
not
go there.
responding.
Okay.
No, that's I was thinking like pasta or something like that, but chicken, that's a good one. Also, big news dropped today. One that I don't think many had on their bingo card for this year. Bob Pockrass kind of put that out there too. This weekend, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be filling in as crew chief as on the number 88 machine for Connor Zilic. Marty Lindley will serve his one race suspension for loose lugs following the Xfinity race in Nashville 2 weeks ago. So how about that? Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be a crew chief.
Okay. Okay. Try that and see if you like it, right?
I am super excited to see how that goes for him.
Could you hear him screaming over the radio at you if you're not doing something or your crew? If your crew messes up and then you got him on you right there, the boss. Ooh, okay.
I don't think he would be a yeller. I think he would try. I don't know. I
But
think
as the
he'd be more
crew,
calm than you think.
but as the crew, your boss is standing right there. Your boss is watching you. So I'm sure that gets the tension up a little bit.
Hey,
Maybe not, but
what do you always tell me? And now I've caught on and tell you that in iRacing, where we're coming to the start of a race or a restart.
and fill me in.
Do your job.
Oh yeah, do your
So
job.
it don't matter if your boss. Either way, it's your boss up there. You report to the crew chief. So it's either that or the main boss. Just do your job.
Yeah, don't think about it. You're all the team, and you should all work together accordingly. So that's the way it should be. But somewhere along, maybe some of the tensions might be a little bit higher. I don't know. If when I worked back in machinery like that, and when the boss was around, it's just like I don't know. The atmosphere changes. Hopefully not there, but you never know.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Also, Cup Series news on the morning of the Chicago street race, electric NASCAR vehicles will do laps at the same time for about 20 minutes. David Reagan will be in the Ford, Raja Caruth will be in the Chevy, and Brent Cruz will be in the original NASCAR built car. It's not Toyota specific. NASCAR is terminate exhibition track laps. So testing out some things for that. Here's the thing with electric. I know you're shaking your head there. I know a lot of people don't care about it, don't want to see it coming down the line. I don't think it'll overtake what we're seeing now for a long time, if ever. I think maybe it'll create some advancements with the car that we see, a more electrification, or maybe they'll create their own electric series. I don't think, yeah, shake your head and all that, but I don't think it's going to become like or take over in the near future.
But you're right. The technology behind there could actually help the public on something too. So, maybe the technology is there and everything like that. So who knows if you can make it sound like a race car and it's electric and if it works. We'll see. But yeah, you're right. I'm not an electric fan. I have not gotten on board with that yet. I tell people I'll buy a horse before I buy an electric car. But gee, when the oil pump goes dry, what are we going to do? Eventually, we're going to have to go some other direction. So, be nice to have the technology in the back pocket there to figure out how that works, right?
Well, obviously, hybrids across America are selling quite well. A lot of race series are hybrid, IndyCar. Hell, we got a lot of electric stuff on these NASCAR cars now. So I don't know. Maybe some just advancements will happen. I don't think it'll take over for a while. In fact, a lot of the manufacturers have backed away from full electric vehicles like Chevy, I know Chevy was one of the first to back out. I don't know what Ford's doing. I think Toyota was backing off a little too. So we'll see. I don't know. It's just news to report. I think, like I say, I reported. I think it's just gonna enhance or make some advancements within the car or stuff like that. It's not gonna take over in the near future. But
not
anyway,
not right away.
yeah. Any news or anything that you want to talk about before we go into this upcoming weekend?
You were kind of talking about that, people are talking about, SVG being 33rd in points and getting a champion. And I mean, it's the king, Richard Petty, that's even talking about it, and even Junior has had some comments on this lately, And I guess there's a survey out there and saying, talk to the fans, would you like to have it back to the old 36 weeks, no stages? Mark Martin wants the number put back in the middle of the door. There's a lot of comments going around, right? There's a lot of people that want to go back to the old school. And they did a survey and they said there's 80% of people, 80-20, that would like to see it go back. And I'm sure NASCAR wouldn't do anything. But here's a question for you, Lauren. Of all the changes that NASCAR has made through the years, what one thing would you want old school put back in the NASCAR racing?
Oh man, you're catching me off guard. I wish we would have talked about
one thing. Me, I would sit there and first thing I would do is get Bristol back the way it used to be. That would be one of my top things, or get the short track racing back the way the short track racing used to be.
Yeah, I think that would be the top of my list as well. Both of those. Boy, I don't know. I think mine would revolve around the new car and just trying to figure out the short track package, changing some things on there. I don't know that I have one specific thing that automatically pops back out to me. Maybe do we do you have to be in the top 30 to make the playoffs? I don't know. He's 33rd. He'll probably end up in the top 30 anyway. He's got the equipment. He'll probably contend at these other road courses. A lot of people like these stages, and I tend to agree with them. It gives you something to pay attention to throughout the race. I was just bringing this up last week. Remember the caution clock? Before we got into stages, the trucks did the caution clock, and that's how it started. And now we're in stages, which is much better. And
well, we had phantom cautions, man, and unexplained cautions. Just talk to Carl Edwards about that. It cost him a championship, But I think another thing that it probably is give the horsepower back to them.
Yeah.
I think that would be huge. NASCAR has definitely drew a line in the sand. Now they're talking about tweaking horsepower, and they're putting it all out and telling the teams that we're going to give you a small percentage here and a small percentage there. Find a happy medium, but I think everybody agrees that a little more horsepower probably would help. Not full bore, but some. I think that would actually make the top 5 list for me.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to up the horsepower eventually. I think we reported on that last week, but it's not going to be. In fact, a lot of drivers have come out and said that's not going to make that big of a difference. I do think it'll make some, but. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything glaring that I look at off the top of my head that being like, wow, I really wish it went back that way. The number thing, yes, I do like it in the middle of the door. I do. It's just a race car. It belongs in the middle of the door. I don't know. There's people who don't. It's not that big of a deal for me. That's the thing. I would change some things, but it's not that big of a deal for me where it's going to make me not watch. So I'm trying to think of something that comes to the top of my head that I absolutely despise. I can't think of one just off the top of my head. Maybe I'll come up with something later, but I would just I think it would go if I had to pick one, it would be to adjust this new car and either horsepower or let some ingenuity come back into it, somehow, some way.
I don't know. We've seen so much pack racing on the restrictor plate races. I don't know if what every pack race is always the same, man, until someone makes a boo-boo and all of a sudden then you get your typical pile up, and that's unfortunate. It'd be nice of the old days. Remember the old shotgun, shoot around somebody. And I'm not talking about pushing people around like they used to, where, you run 3 laps and then you got hot and then you had to make the other guy switch with you. I don't want nothing like that. But the pack racing, I don't know. I've pretty much seen enough of that because the outcome is always the same on that.
Yeah. Although I think was Atlanta the last Talladega? Didn't they come across the line and not do the big one, Talladega, and they finished the race? So I don't know.
Few and far between, but
the best, if you want to call it pack racing or super speedway racing, plate racing, the best was in the early 2000s. I feel like it was spread out enough, but it would group it enough where it would become exciting too. There were some big ones. I don't know. Yeah, there would be some.
Now it's 40 cars and they're always there, and it's always the same thing, and just kind of bring it back to like watching Dale Senior be 17th place and 3 laps to go and watch him come through the pack and win the race. You couldn't do that these days with this pack racing because you have no place to go because everybody's on top of everybody. So I don't know. Interesting question that kind of caught that off of Kenny Wallace. Anybody that doesn't see Kenny Wallace every day with his Sunoco, coffee with Kenny, I see that now it's becoming a daily thing. And Kenny's he's a bird of a different feather, but I'll tell you what, he's got some really cool information, and so it's becoming a daily thing that I listen to Kenny and see what he's got going on in his world.
Yeah, I thought of something to say during that thing. Maybe the point system too. I don't know if I like the one race, but again, I'm picking things that I'll still watch if it's one race. I've watched all these years. Do I really despise something that much? I feel like someone's going to comment on this and be like, you said a couple of weeks ago that you absolutely despise. No, one thing I also thought of that I was laughing about when you were talking was Texas. I was like, I don't like Texas. I don't like it, but really this new car races well there. So do I want to go back to what it was a few years back? No.
We used to despise road racing, but look at the road racing now. I mean, there's a lot of things with road racing, like, at the right place at the right, it is very entertaining road racing. We used to scorn, and there used to be like only 5 guys and a couple shoe-ins would come in. But if you want to win a championship, you got to be good at the road courses, and a lot of guys have honed their skills on that stuff.
I got one. Bring back the Busch Series and the Truck Series to Milwaukee.
Oh, got it.
Top of the list for me. I never got to see. I said Busch Xfinity. I never got to see a Busch Series race down there. I really wish I would see that. And hell, let's bring Cup there too.
Milwaukee Sentinel just put out the other day that said there is some movement about getting the Truck Series back to Milwaukee. So they knew there's something that just was put out there, and just like there was some movement and they're talking about it. So, yep, bring it back. We're ready.
Milwaukee and Road America. Sorry.
Yep.
We need it. Yep. I go. I'm gonna sit on that. What do I want changed? I'm gonna have to.
We're greedy, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah. I struggle with some of that too, because you use this phrase a lot, is be thankful for what you got. And I feel like I fall in the category where I'm thankful for what we got. So I feel like I struggle thinking about something I want changed so bad right now that I'm just struggling with it.
It's just like fans are saying, hey, we want you back at Richmond, get rid of Mexico. So, and then what do you do? The only thing you do is you watch it on TV. You know, you're not going to the race or whatever.
Well,
So here you're complaining about where the race is, but you're still going to watch either one of them on TV. So what does it matter?
that's been going on for years. You think about Rockingham, yeah, it returned this year, but we brought it back in the early 2010s, and people, the second and third year, no one, I don't want to say no one, a lot of people didn't attend it. So, but on the flip side, Road America was well attended, and it got taken away. So, I don't know.
It's a juggling act, but if they're going to move these road courses, let's say Road America this year, and then okay, we got San Diego next year, and then next, if there's a rotation of road courses like that, I could live with that,
Mhm.
But then again, I'd like to see some more short tracks that would actually be sprinkled in too to go around. We know a few around the country that would also fit in too. There's a big wish list for that stuff too. So if NASCAR does that and scrambles the schedule around like this, I could live with it. Also have the championship race or the championship final three. I think that would be, I don't think a championship should just fall on just one race. There should be, a grouping, and I'm sure there'll be talk about it because a lot of people have mentioned it. Let's see if change will happen that way, but that's their decision. They make money to make that decision.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what people are passionate about for what they would like change. So comment on our socials too if you wanted to see something change and you're passionate about. I think that's a great question mark.
Yeah, so I bet you right away the fans right away get rid of the stages, But I
Yeah.
think the stages have brought some great racing to that part. It's better than all of us on these mysterious cautions that we're flying for debris, and but it does make race. There's a race within a race, and you know. It's unfortunate, there's a lot of times at these big tracks, like two to go, some guys will just, like the NASCAR guys, they're just there to win. They're not running points. So naturally they're going to come in and flip the stage as they call it, so it's an advantage that way when other people are fighting for points and like that. But I don't know. That's such a
Maybe
vague
that's what
question,
I would
but
change. Maybe you just brought up something. That's exactly what my point would be. No limits on cup drivers coming on down to the other series. No limits on it.
I know another thing fans would say is once when the stage ends, the laps don't count after that. I think a lot of fans would like that. I would too. But if you're on network TV, you can only string it out so long. But now that we're streaming, maybe we can extend these races if you're not on network TV. So lots of things to think about for the future, man. So that will
Yeah.
continue being race fans, and we will continue to support whatever their decision is.
Yes, absolutely. Good question though. Good thought.
All right.
As far as this weekend goes, let's make our picks and then we'll talk about what we got going on locally, what we got going on for TV for NASCAR, IndyCar as well. So this week at Pocono, we got all three series, man, racing here. So you get to pick first for the truck series. The defending winner at Pocono in the trucks is Corey Heim.
Yeah, Corey Heim, he gets around there really well and everything. But hey, man, I saw Carson Holsevar is back in that 7, and we've seen how that thing has been boogieing around. So let him win the race there at Pocono, and then he'll get even from his little fine for the food pantries in Mexico. So how about Carson Holsevar? That's my pick for you.
I'm gonna go with the driver who's found some success there. I'm also gonna go with the number 9 truck. I'm gonna go with Grant Enfinger.
You
Throw
know,
that at you.
you know how Enfinger is. He starts out slow every year, and that team and him always picks up momentum as the season goes on. So, yeah, I'm expecting good things coming out of Enfinger for the rest of this season.
For the Xfinity Series, you also get to pick for this one. Last year's winner was Cole Custer.
So last year, that 17 truck that Hendrick has got running all the time, right? That's a Hendrick truck, ain't it? That ain't a
Car,
Spire. Yeah, the 17. Last year, Christopher Bell was in it and got a third place. And the year before that, Chase Elliott was in that truck or in that car and got third place. So, yeah, the 17 is relevant to get on the podium, man. So I got to throw Chase Elliott at you on the 17 there.
Yeah. Easy decision for you, in my opinion. I'm going to take a guy who has the most second place finishes in series history. I'm going to pick him to get his first win this weekend. I'm going to go with Sheldon Creed.
Someday he's going to get a victory, dude. Second place is the first loser. And yeah, I'm sure he's tired of that, man. But, second place for most would be awesome, but not 15 times, right?
Right. And then the Cup Series, I get to go first for this one. The defending winner is Ryan Blaney. I seen a post out there, and I'm going to go with the driver that has the best average finish in the next gen. Can we still call it? People are calling it next gen. I don't think we should be calling that. Is it Gen 7? Is that where we're at? Car. And this might surprise you, but it's Tyler Reddick. He has an average finish. I think it's 3.3. They've raced 3 or 4 times there. So I'm going to take Tyler Reddick.
That was my pick, dude. So you stepped on my toes on that one. So
Good.
I'm going to go back and take the defending champion. If you look at Penske, even with Cindric and with Logano, they've all had great finishes there, man. So Penske knows how to get around Pocono. So yeah, Blaney is my pick for this one, man. He won there last year, and he can double it up this year.
He got his first career Cup Series win there over Kevin Harvick back in the day as well. So he has multiple wins out there. So good pick for you. As far as the weekend look up here, big weekend again. IndyCars at Road America. The TV schedule looks like this. Friday on FS2 at 2:30 is Indy Next practice. 3:35 is IndyCar practice. It'll be in the 80s with 30% chance. Saturday on FS1 at 9 o'clock is Indy Next practice. 10:05 will be IndyCar practice. 12:30 Indy Next qualifying, and 1:35 will be IndyCar qualifying, also in the 80s with 10% chance. And then Sunday at 9:02 on FS1 will be IndyCar warm-up. Also on FS1 at 10:06 will be the Indy Next race, 20 laps there. Then it switches over to Fox at 12:30 for pre-race, and 12:47 the IndyCar Series will go green, 55 laps for that one in the 80s with 5% chance. So Road America is an awesome facility. We were there for bikes a couple weeks ago. We like to go a couple times a year. Just an absolute beautiful facility. Anyone going there is going to love it. So hope everyone that's going gets to enjoy it there. As far as NASCAR goes, over in Pocono Friday at 11:35 a.m. on FS2 is truck practice and qualifying. Then 4 o'clock on FS1, the Truck Series race will go green. Stages of 20, 20, and 40 in the 70s with 10% chance. Saturday at 9 o'clock on the CW app is Xfinity practice and qualifying. 11:35 on Prime Video is Cup practice and qualifying. And then 2 o'clock on the CW, NASCAR Countdown. 2:30 also on the CW, Xfinity race goes green, stages of 25, 25, and 50 in the 70s with 10% chance. Then on Sunday at 12 o'clock on Prime Video, pre-race, 1 o'clock, the Cup Series race will get going on Prime Video as well. Stages of 30, 65, and 65 in the 80s with 15% chance. So shaping up to be a good weekend there. So tomorrow night, we have the Al Huss Auto Valley Gasket night. Thank you to those guys for sponsoring the night out at Kaukauna. Come join us out there. We got the quarter mile late models running in addition to all the other divisions and that big Wisconsin sports truck race, Rob Vandermoss Memorial, with all the added drivers there. Going to be really exciting to see that series race. So come on out. Also to see NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin. Going to be a fantastic night. Also, I got to try one of these, the Gertie bar from Gertrude's. Gertrude's ice cream on sale there. I got to try a Gertie bar for sure. Maybe this week will be the week there. But
one free
get over
can,
there.
right?
Yeah,
one free
right.
can.
That's right. Big night tomorrow night. Hope to see everyone out there. Racing starts at 6:30. Also, in addition to that, this upcoming weekend, over on the dirt side of things, we got the Terry Van Roy Memorial at Gravity Park on Friday. So Terry Van Roy is a guy that we miss dearly in the racing community, legend of the sport, just so awesome. Sure do miss that guy, and get over to Gravity Park if you're available on Friday to go see the Terry Van Roy Memorial. Saturday, bunch of stuff going on. Midwest Trucks is up at Marshfield. We just talked to Grant about that. Also on Saturday, the ASA Midwest Tour makes their return to Norway. As of right now, I know you're 100% going. I'm day by day with what I got going over here. I'm hoping to go. It was on the schedule, but I got to make sure my son's okay and everything's going out there. I got some things to figure out schedule-wise, but I'm hoping to make it up there for that return to Norway. Norway is an awesome facility too. Love going up there a couple times a year. It's not a bad drive, so get up there and support that as well. Slinger on Sunday, of course, all the dirt tracks going on, all the local racetracks going on, Golden Sands as well. Everyone, get out and support your local racetracks. It's a great weekend. You heard us talk about a few here, so it's important for everyone to get out to these racetracks when you can. So, Mark, looking forward to an awesome weekend here.
Yes, sir, man. Looking forward to Thursday, and then I might drift up to Seymour on Sunday for the wing sprints up there, and that's a shot. I'm definitely watching the weather because the weather could get a little rambunctious on Friday, and then no matter what happens, I am hauling the camper up to Norway and be over in the back corner over there, and we'll see if we can run up with some race fans and have a great time at Norway. It's been a while since I've been up there, so looking forward to it, man. Gonna get hot this weekend, so we like it hot. My wife says, hey, I don't know if that's all right that you should go racing. I said, nobody complains when it's 33 and I'm sitting at the Dells at the Halloween. I said, you know what? We take it as it comes, and it's the way it is. If it's hot, so be it. Yeah, they got a roof over the grandstand like that, so we're in the shade, and we'll be all right, as Lauren would say.
We'll be all right. It'll be a great weekend. Yeah, I was up there last year. Usually I get up there once a year, or try to anyway. So looking forward to that. I know Chris Kelly going to be a part of the show too, so it will be nice to see him and all the other Norway drivers that are going to participate, the Midwest Tour guys. I know Andy Monday is going to be one that's heading up there. He won the State Line Challenge last year up there, so he's got a recent win. I was up there for that, so that's pretty cool. So going to be a great field there. What's the field looking like? How many cars up there? I know they released the driver's list, which looks incredible.
It was incredible. It looks like about 20 cars, and they said there was more to come, so we'll see, but looks pretty stout to me, man.
It does, for sure. So get out when you're able to support your local racetracks. Enjoy your weekend no matter what you're doing. Mark, thank you for always joining me on here and everything that you do for this page here and doing this. Thank you to Grant Griesbach again for joining us. Thanks to Ben and Carrie and Tim for the great support that you are giving us. It's remarkable. So appreciate it. Thank you to everyone else for your support. Means the world to me, and Mark as well. So, hey man, we'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you at the track tomorrow night.
See you there.
This has been a production of Lore Sports. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.